Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on convicted criminal Julius Malema, who also happens to be a member of parliament, and he also sits on the committee that elects judges in this country. Yeah, it only makes sense in South Africa. If you're outside of South Africa, don't worry about it. It's the way it works here in South Africa. Now, when it rains, it seems that it pours for Julius Malema, because not only is he fighting this guilty verdict, and he is now fighting to overturn this conviction against him for discharging a firearm that could literally mean that he goes and spends time in jail. Now there's two pending court cases against him. The one is for crimen injuria, and the second one is for being in contempt of court. And both of them are being taken on by Afriforum, and I believe one of them is actually being led by the NPA. We'll get into that information just now, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free, it won't cost you anything, as well as smashing the like button and sharing this video far and wide. Alright, let's have a look. Now, thanks to Newsday for both of these articles. The first one is that Afriforum is taking Julius Malema to court over encouraging people to illegally occupy land. I made a video about this a couple of weeks ago, and I actually brought it to the attention of specific legal eagles, and this is now being taken to court. So I'll take a little bit of credit for this. Afriforum CEO Kali Kriel revealed that they are preparing a legal action against EFF leader Julius Malema for encouraging illegal land invasions. He shared this information during an interview with BizNews about their legal battle against the new Expropriation Act threatening property rights in South Africa. Kriel said that Afriforum has previously secured a court order prohibiting Malema from inciting people to unlawfully occupy land. In March 2017, the North Gauteng High Court granted an interim interdict against the EFF and Malema for inciting the public to illegally invade land and trespass. After initially failing to oppose the interdict, Malema and the EFF filed a rescission application seeking to have the order set aside. However, the North Gauteng High Court dismissed the rescission application with costs. We successfully obtained a court order against him stating that he is not allowed to do that and he had to pay our costs, Kriel said. However, Malema has recently encouraged black people living in townships to take land owned by white people as it would improve their lives. During a recent visit to Kayamandi, a township on the northern outskirts of Stellenbosch, he promoted illegal land invasion. Those guys live crammed together on a hill, and right next to them is beautiful green land spanning many hectares, he said. On this land there is just one house belonging to a white man on 3,000 hectares of land. It is a British colonial style house. They will never go there. We must go and take that land. We must go and occupy that land. We can't live like this, Malema told Kayamandi residents. Ironic, because he actually lives in an estate. He doesn't actually live like most of his supporters and followers live. You know, go figure. So just to refresh your memory, this is actually what he said.
With one house of a white man in a 3,000 hectares of land, one white house, British colonial design house. They will never go there.
So just want to interrupt you quick to say that usually Julius Malema will talk in the third person and he won't actually acknowledge that it's him that said something. He would always speak in riddles, but he messed up in this instance because he actually said that I told them. Listen to this.
And when I go to Kamnandi, I say to them, we must go and take that land. We must go and occupy that land. We can't live like this.
Right there is where he incriminated himself and where he is in breach of the 2017 court order against him. Well done, Julius Malema. And then the second one is also more crimen injuria focused, and Afriforum's chief executive Kali Kriel has revealed that EFF leader Julius Malema is being criminally prosecuted for crimen injuria after the intervention. Kriel shared this information on a social media post explaining that Afriforum has helped to file the charge against Malema. The case stems from public statements and social media posts Malema made about Jacob Pieterse, the former principal of Bergview College in Matatile. The case involves a child whose mother alleges she was at the Bergview College in Matatile, Eastern Cape in October 2024. Pieterse and the school's caretaker became targets of a social media campaign. However, they were proven to be innocent. Remember, it was all your favorite politicians that got involved in that. You know, it was Julius Malema, it was Fikile Mbalula, etc., etc. And then, of course, News 24 and everybody jumped on the bandwagon, and then not really any subsequent articles to talk about the fact that, oh wait, he actually did not do it. Following the unfounded allegations against him, Pieterse took steps to hold politicians, including Malema, accountable for publicly violating his dignity. Pieterse, represented by Afriforum's private prosecution unit, led by advocate Renaldo, laid charges of crimen injuria against numerous politicians. The charges were filed against ANC Secretary Fikile Mbalula, EFF leader Julius Malema, and Eastern Cape Education MEC Fundile Gade. Mbalula and Malema faced additional charges of violating the Cybercrime and Intimidation Acts. Barry Bateman is the unit's spokesperson, and he said the politician's comments unjustly violated a man's dignity by accusing him of heinous crimes. Pieterse was publicly labeled I'm not going to read that. A label that in society's eyes is among the most irredeemable and damning, Bateman said. Afriforum's legal team will pursue individuals who attempted to destroy Pieterse's life and spread lies about Afriforum. On Sunday, the 9th of August 2026, Creel revealed that Malema is now criminally prosecuted for crimen injuria after Afriforum helped file the charge. Gary Nel and his team at Afriforum's private prosecution unit helped to ensure that justice is done for the Eastern Cape school principal Jacob Pieterse, he said. It's amazing to think that Julius Malema was so brazen over the last decade and a bit to just come out and sing songs about killing people, calling people racist left, right, and center, and then calling people, these things that were mentioned in the article. And by the way, I'm not mentioning it here because of YouTube censorship. So all I'm saying is that Julius Malema, since 2010, when he was still the ANC Youth League leader, used to come out and say the most outrageous things. And now all of these things are finally catching up to him, and rightfully so, because for the longest period of time, Julius Malema was above the law. He could literally be traced to be involved with VBS. A card that is linked to VBS following him around the country, and nobody really saying, okay, what's up here? The NPA, let's prosecute it. And then within a year, there are now 3 court cases against him. The last one, of course, was the verdict in which he was found guilty, and he now therefore is a convicted criminal until his appeal is heard, which I don't think that there's any chance of real success there, because Tani Judge was really thorough with her verdict and the way that she read it out. And then, of course, now we've got these 2 cases. And I think that if any other average South African citizen had to do what Julius Malema did, then they would have been in jail a very, very long time ago. So this once again also just speaks to the double standards that exist in this country. Julius Malema proclaims to be this victim, but yet the things that he said and done and the allegations against him with VBS, I would argue that he is actually very privileged, because he's managed to get away with it for the last 16 years. Remember, famously in 2010 was the very first time that he came out publicly and sang "Kill the Boer." And subsequent to that, it's just been almost every weekend the singing of that song, then telling people to go and invade land, telling people to, do horrendous and terrible things. The EFF, of course, famously standing outside the court where there's literally sentencing for a farm murder that took place, and then the EFF, in defense of the people that committed the murder, went outside and saying, "Kill the boer, kill the farmer." I mean, this is the type of people that we are dealing with here. The thing that people have to note here is, because Julius Malema is losing power, the EFF is not getting stronger, the EFF is getting weaker. Now, suddenly, you've got all of these people that are interested. I'm not talking about Afriforum, I'm talking about the NPA. I'm talking about the people that are willing to actually listen to this case. Because I've got a very funny sense that if Julius Malema was still on the rise, then I believe the court verdict with regards to him discharging the firearm might have been different. And if he was still on the rise, this court case here might not have happened. And the contempt of court initially, where the judge came out and ruled against him, saying that if it happens again, it's contempt of court. I don't think that would have happened. So that also says a lot about the justice system in this country. And it also speaks to when you are in power and you've got a lot of power, then it seems you are above the law. I think everybody here can relate to the fact that if this was you, what would have happened to you? If you discharged a firearm, would it have been 6 or 7 years before you finally were found guilty? Would you have received bail? If you called somebody a PDF, and accused them of doing something inappropriate, would you be able to face crimen injuria charges immediately, or would you have also have been able to get away with it for a couple of years? This just shows the double standards in this country, and especially between politicians and the average Joe on the street. But hey, it's long overdue. Good luck to Afriforum, and thank you for fighting the good fight. And based on the evidence, it's very clear that Julius Malema is in contempt of court, especially after that 2017 judgment that said that he is not allowed to demand that people go and claim land or instruct them. And here he is on video doing it. That's what I covered in my previous video. And then, of course, the Crimen injuria, which is an open and shut case. He did say those things. He did accuse him of those things. So it seems that Julius Malema is going to be 0-3 after the last 3 court cases against him. So this is truly a victory for South Africa, because finally people are being held accountable for their actions and for the things that they are saying. It's long overdue, but hey, let's celebrate it because it's here right now. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button. Share this video far and wide. Don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything. However, if you'd like to contribute to this channel financially, you can do so by giving a super thanks below. You can click the $ and choose an amount. Or you can become a member to this channel by clicking the join button below. And that'll be greatly appreciated. And that's all I got to say. Till later. Cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre.